The prairie wind howled like a wounded animal that night, carrying dust and rain across miles of open land. Adam Reese pulled his coat tighter and urged his horse forward through the storm, head down, hat brim dripping. The horizon had vanished beneath dark clouds, thunder rumbling low, as if the earth itself were groaning. He'd spent the day hauling feed from town and wanted nothing more than a fire and silence. But as he rode past a broken fence line, something cut through the rain, a sound small, frightened, and unmistakably human. He stopped cold, heart hammering. A cry. He dismounted, boots sinking into the mud. "Hello?" he called, voice nearly lost in the storm. The sound came again, weaker this time, like a whimper swallowed by wind. He followed it, lantern swinging in his hand, until its faint light caught a glimpse of movement near the fallen fence. There, half buried beneath a splintered post and tangled wire, lay a girl. She couldn't have been more than 16, her dress torn and caked in dirt, her face streaked with blood and rain. When she saw him, she flinched, curling up as if expecting another blow. "Please, don't beat me," she whispered, voice raw with fear. "I'm already hurt." Adam froze, rain dripping from his hat brim. He knelt slowly, careful not to startle her, and spoke with the gentleness he hadn't used in years. "Ain't nobody gonna hurt you now," he said. His hands moved to lift the post, freeing her from the weight. She winced but didn't resist. When he slid his coat around her shoulders, she clutched it tight, trembling. "Can you stand?" he asked. She shook her head weakly. So he picked her up, light as a feather, and carried her to his horse. The storm raged harder as they rode, lightning splitting the sky in jagged flashes. The girl clung to him, her small hands gripping his coat. Adam kept his gaze fixed on the faint glow of his ranch in the distance. He'd seen broken things before, animals caught in traps, men caught in their own cruelty, but there was something in her voice that night that cut deeper than anything else. When they reached the barn, he dismounted, carrying her inside and setting her down on a pile of hay. She looked up at him through swollen eyes, unsure whether to trust the stranger before her. Adam fetched a lantern, its warm glow filling the shadows. He wrapped her in an old horse blanket and brought water from the trough. "Drink slow," he said. She obeyed, hands trembling as she sipped. He noticed bruises along her arms, not from any fall, but from fists. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, her lips parting but no words coming. He didn't press her. "Reckon it don't matter tonight," he said. "You're safe here." She nodded faintly, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. For the first time in who knew how long, someone had spoken to her without hate. After checking her wounds, Adam carried her into the cabin and laid her on his bed near the fireplace. He threw more wood on the flames, the warmth pushing back the chill. As he turned to fetch clean cloth, she spoke again, barely above a whisper. "Why are you helping me?" He paused, looking at the floor. "Because you needed help," he said simply. "And I've been left alone in the rain before." The girl's eyes softened, confusion mixing with exhaustion. Within minutes, sleep claimed her, her breathing steady and calm, for the first time in what seemed like forever. Adam sat by the fire long after she slept, watching the flames dance. The storm outside began to ease, thunder fading into distant echoes. He thought about what she'd said. "Don't beat me." The words replayed in his mind, colder than the wind. Somewhere out there was a man who'd done this, someone who thought pain was power. Adam clenched his jaw, the firelight flickering across his scarred knuckles. He'd known men like that before. Once he'd been one of them, or close enough to see how easy it was to fall. That's why he couldn't walk away tonight. By dawn, the rain stopped. The prairie stretched quiet and washed clean beneath a pale sky. Adam stepped outside, breathing deep, the air thick with the smell of wet earth. His horse grazed near the fence, the world calm again. When he returned inside, the girl was awake, sitting up slowly, blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She looked small against the rough wooden walls, her hair tangled and damp. "You sleep all right?" he asked. She nodded, her voice barely audible. "Yes, sir." "Thank you." He poured her some warm milk, setting the tin cup beside her. "Ain't no sir here," he said. "Name's Adam." She hesitated before whispering Clara. The name seemed to bring warmth to the room. "Well, Clara," he said. "You're welcome to stay till you can stand on your own." She glanced toward the door, fear flickering again.
"He'll come for me," she said.
"The man I ran from." Adam's expression didn't change, but his voice lowered. "Let him try." He poured himself coffee, sitting across from her. "You ain't his anymore." Her eyes widened, disbelief softening into tears. "You don't understand," she whispered. "He owns the house, the land. Me." Adam stared at her for a long moment, then said quietly, "Not here, he don't." Later, when the sun climbed higher, Adam saddled his horse and rode into town for medicine. The townsfolk gave him curious looks when they saw the scratches on his coat and the haunted look in his eyes. He ignored their whispers, bought what he needed, and returned before sundown. When he entered the cabin, Clara was sitting near the fire, brushing her tangled hair. She looked up, startled but smiling faintly when she saw him. "You came back," she said softly. "Told you I would." He handed her the medicine, then knelt to check her ankle, still swollen but healing. "You're tougher than you look," he said. Clara laughed for the first time, a soft, broken sound that filled the silence. "That's what my mama used to say," she murmured. "Before she passed." Adam nodded slowly. "She raised you right then." The girl blinked, surprised. "You really think so?" "Reckon I do," he said. "Takes courage to run from what hurts you." She looked down, eyes shining. "I didn't think anyone would believe me." "Don't need to," he said. "I seen enough." The fire popped softly between them, and for the first time in years, Adam felt something warm stir in his chest. Not pity, but purpose. That night, as the moon rose over the plains, Clara lay beneath the quilt, her breathing slow and peaceful. Adam sat outside on the porch watching the horizon, rifle across his lap. The land stretched endless and quiet, but he knew how fast peace could vanish out here. Somewhere the man who'd hurt her might still be searching. But Adam wasn't afraid. He'd faced storms before, both outside and within. And if anyone came to take her again, they'd meet the kind of storm only a cowboy like him could bring. Inside, Clara slept soundly, and the world for once felt safe. Morning light crept through the cracks in the shutters, painting gold streaks across the cabin walls. Adam Reese sat by the fire, hat low over his eyes, half asleep but alert. The rain had stopped hours ago, leaving behind a clean silence that only the prairie knew. Behind him, Clara stirred, the blanket slipping off her shoulders. She blinked against the light, her face still pale but calmer. For a long moment she just watched him, this quiet cowboy who'd risked the storm for a stranger. Then in a soft, trembling voice, she finally spoke her name. "Clara," she said. "My name's Clara." Adam nodded without turning. "Reckoned you'd tell me when you were ready." His voice carried that calm strength she was beginning to trust. She looked down at her hands, the bruises now fading to yellow. "He was my caretaker," she said slowly. "After my pa died, I was sent to live with him. Her words faltered, swallowed by the crackle of the fire. Adam didn't press. He'd learned long ago that silence could heal faster than questions. "You ran," he said quietly. She nodded. "He said if I tried again, he'd make sure no one found me." Adam's jaw tightened, his fingers curling around the mug in his hand until the metal creaked. He'd seen cruelty before, in men and in law, but something about the fear in her voice cut deep. "Ain't no man got the right to own another soul," he said finally. His tone wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Clara's eyes glistened as she whispered, "Then why do so many try?" Adam didn't have an answer for that. He only looked into the fire, remembering his own father's hand raised in anger, and the night he left home at 16 with nothing but a horse and a dream. The next few days passed in quiet rhythm. Adam fixed fences, chopped wood, and taught Clara how to tend the fire and gather eggs from the coop. She moved slowly at first, still flinching at sudden sounds, but each sunrise brought her a little more strength. She began to hum when she worked, soft tunes she said her mother used to sing. Sometimes, when Adam came in from the fields, he'd pause at the door, listening in silence. There was something healing about that sound, a reminder that even in a place scarred by violence, life could still make music. By the fourth morning, Clara was standing at the creek behind the cabin, barefoot in the wet grass, washing clothes. The wind tugged at her hair, and for the first time Adam saw her smile, small but real. "Water's cold," he said, as he walked up behind her. She laughed lightly. "I felt worse." Her eyes caught his, filled with something brighter than fear. It was gratitude, maybe even trust. Adam nodded once and turned to mend a broken fence post nearby, pretending not to notice the way her smile lingered. For a man who'd lived alone so long, it felt strange and good. But peace in the West never lasted long. That afternoon, as Adam was feeding the horse, a figure appeared on the ridge, a man on a bay gelding wearing a sheriff's badge that caught the sun. He rode slow, deliberate, like someone who already knew what he'd find. Adam stepped forward, hand resting near his revolver, though not yet drawing it. "Morning, Sheriff," he said evenly. The older man tipped his hat. "Morning, Adam. Heard tell you might have found yourself a lost girl." Adam's jaw set. "Ain't lost," he said. "She's where she belongs." The sheriff studied him, eyes sharp beneath his brim. "She's a servant from the Mayfield Ranch," the sheriff said. "Ran off near 2 weeks ago. Her caretaker's been looking." Adam's hand didn't move, but his voice hardened. "Caretaker's got a strange way of showing care, if bruises mean anything." The sheriff shifted in his saddle. "I don't make the rules, Adam. I just keep the peace." Adam looked him dead in the eye. "Sometimes peace ain't worth the price it's bought with." For a long moment, neither man spoke. The prairie wind carried only the sound of distant thunder. Finally, the sheriff sighed and tipped his hat. "Didn't see no girl here, then?" When the rider disappeared over the hill, Adam exhaled slowly, tension leaving his shoulders. Inside, Clara had been listening, her heart pounding. She stepped out onto the porch, eyes wide. "He was looking for me," she whispered. Adam nodded, setting his hat on the railing. "He won't be back." She looked down at her hands. "You could have given me up. You'd have been safer." Adam glanced at her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Ain't about safe," he said. "It's about right." The words hung in the air like a prayer, and Clara's eyes shimmered with tears she didn't try to hide. That night, the fire burned low. Clara sat by the hearth, brushing her hair, while Adam mended a saddle strap at the table. Outside, crickets sang, and the world felt almost peaceful again. "You ever think of leaving?" she asked quietly. Adam didn't look up. "Used to. Thought maybe I'd head west to California. Start fresh." He paused, setting the leather down. "But every time I tried, something kept me here. Maybe I was waiting for a reason." Clara's voice softened. "And now?" He finally looked at her, his eyes tired but kind. "Now I reckon I found it." The next morning, Clara stepped outside barefoot, the ground cool beneath her feet. The storm had brought wildflowers to bloom near the fence, yellow and purple against the green. She turned toward the barn, where Adam was saddling his horse. "Where you going?" she asked. "Town," he said. "Need supplies. Won't be long." She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "You'll come back?" He stopped, met her eyes, and nodded. "Always." It wasn't a promise he made often, but this one he meant. As he rode off, Clara stood in the doorway, sunlight spilling over her like a blessing. For the first time, she wasn't afraid. When Adam returned later that day, Clara was baking cornbread, humming softly. The cabin smelled of warmth and home. He paused, hat in hand, just listening. For a man who'd built his life on solitude, the sound of another's laughter felt like salvation. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, they sat on the porch together. The world was quiet, the air golden and still. "Why did you help me?" Clara asked suddenly. Adam's gaze stayed on the distance. "Because somebody should have helped me once too." She looked at him, tears shining. "Then I'm glad it was you." As the stars spread across the sky, the silence between them wasn't heavy anymore. It was full. The land around them breathed with peace, and even the wind seemed softer. Adam leaned back, his voice barely above a whisper. "You're safe here, Clara. Ain't no one taking that from you again?" She smiled, her hands folded in her lap, and looked up at the stars. "You know," she said, "maybe the world ain't all bad after all." Adam nodded slowly, watching the fireflies dance along the fence line. "Not if you got the right folks in it." and for the first time in years he believed it.